All right, go ahead.
So we're live.
Yep, we're live. Go ahead.
All right, we're live. All right. Thank you, Captain. I want to welcome everybody to the Cold World podcast. This is the pilot, the very first one. I know I've had the pleasure. What actually, my name is Jeff
Yep, we're
Coleman.
live. Go ahead.
All right, we're live. All right.
All
For
right.
those of you
Thank you,
who
Captain.
don't know me, this is Jeff Coleman. I'm getting the feedback in my ear.
I
Want to
got it
welcome you
fixed.
to the Cold World podcast. Um, and I just want to introduce myself to those of you who may not know me. My name is Jeff Coleman. Um, Gaffney, South Carolina, Tennessee volunteer. And we I'm still getting this thing in my ear.
It may be that you got it playing somewhere on one of your phones or something, but I got it
Okay.
turned down.
All right, so we're running. So we'll go with I think I'll be all right. Welcome to the first episode of the Cold World Podcast. I'm Jeff Coleman, um, Tennessee volunteer. And I wanted to just before we get into my special guest tonight, just talk a little bit about what this show and what this platform is going to be about. I've had the pleasure of doing a lot of shows with Billy Ratliff, Jarnell, Lexus, a lot of people on this platform, and had some great conversations. And just want to just kind of expand on what a lot of my peers are doing, just and to give people a platform. We're going to talk about some social issues. We're going to talk about politics. We're going to talk about sports, pop culture, and then sometimes how all that stuff ties in together. We're going to have these conversations and give people, the platform to come on here, tell their stories, talk about what they're doing in their life, in their communities. They can talk about some of the things that, they've done to get to where they are. So that's what the Cold World podcast is going to be about. Just, giving people a platform to talk about their stories, and then we're gonna talk about things that are going on. Try to pull it all together. So, with that being said, my special guest tonight, my brother, partner in crime. The reason why I'm even sitting right here talking to you right now. Billy Big Worm Ratliff, the pride of Mississippi.
Yes,
So I'm gonna just say this. We're gonna talk about a lot, because there's a lot to unpack there. We don't even have time tonight to really get into it, but we're just gonna talk a little bit about your journey coming up, being in Mississippi, going to Tennessee, that transition of we could talk about how it ended and what happened after that, and just what got you to where you are right now, and talk about the future, where you're trying to go to. So introduce yourself, Billy Ratliff.
what's up, man? How you doing, man? I'm glad. Hey, I like this, man. You got me here. Say got chills like I'm about to go play a game or something. JC, what's up, man?
See, I didn't want to gas you up. I was going to run down your bio and talk about how great you were, but I ain't gonna do that. I'm gonna let you do a little bit of it yourself. But everybody already knows, so I ain't even have to burn up some of our time doing it. So
Well, JC, man. Hey, I tell you this, man. I mean, I'm back in Knoxville, Tennessee, man. Originally from Magnolia, Mississippi. Um,
Magnolia, hold up, stop. Let's stop there. Magnolia, Mississippi. Let's talk about Magnolia.
what's up?
Tell me about growing up in Magnolia. So you born and raised in Magnolia.
Born in the New Orleans, Louisiana.
See, that's why I want to go because I heard something different. So I heard you an NO boy. So how long did you live in NO before you got to Magnolia?
Say what? 6 years old, man. I left there, and mom. I was with my dad's family down there with my grandmother, and my mom was working in Mississippi at the jail and stuff with the women facility and stuff, and then she got a big promotion, and I mean I had to move up there because that's where my family was at, and moved to Magnolia, Mississippi, man, and that's where things started, man. Jumped from first to third grade.
So what do you remember? You remember anything about because there's that connection at Magnolia, New Orleans. What do you remember about New Orleans? Your time there.
Man, there's a lot.
Besides the food. Besides the food. I know you remember the food.
I mean, like there's a lot of good things and mostly a lot of bad things, man. Because I grew up around a lot of crime, man, and seeing a lot of stuff going on. But my grandmother, she kept us clear of all that trouble. So it was a simple situation for me to the transition from New Orleans to Mississippi was pretty simple because my family that was in Mississippi, they coming from New Orleans, I had the same ropes, and basically everything was the exact same. The only thing that was different for me was a culture shock was the people. I came from thinking like I was city boy and country boy, and really it was just the same stuff. And we had a good time, man. When I got there, like I said, I mean, the hardest part for me, I think, was leaving my grandmother, and because she was basically raising me at this time, and the part that made me happy to leave was the fact that I was a 24/7 church everything. I couldn't really do much. I was you know every meeting. When you hear all the comedians talk about you know deacon meeting, the doorknob meeting. It didn't matter what it was. If
Yo.
choir, Bible
How
study.
long did that building fund? That building
uh,
fund was there
man,
from the time you got
I,
there.
I
It's
think
still going right now.
yeah, I think so, man. I think they finally got everything done recently. But no, man. I'm glad that we did it, man, because I grew up, a little bit slower pace in Mississippi, especially with the education part. I say I jumped from first to third grade when I went to Mississippi because
Yeah,
it.
that's why you were 16, 17 when you got to Tennessee. So
Yeah, that's what it was. See, everybody thought I was smart, which I mean, I ain't gonna pat myself on shit, but
so let's talk about that Mississippi. So how, because everybody knows, well, I think most people know that have seen you play that, to be especially that size, you're a super athletic guy. And I remember that when you first got there and they say he's a linebacker. I was like, there's no way this dude's a linebacker. Then I saw him run. I was like, okay, he can be a linebacker. So you've seen the story about the guys down in Florida, the ones chasing jackrabbits, doing things of that nature. What was there anything in Mississippi that you guys that was this just something that God touched Billy and said you got this, or was this something that being in Mississippi, growing up playing, what all sports did you play, and what helped build that athleticism that we would see later on in Tennessee?
I'll tell you this, man. Like, I had a lot of uncles, man, that was into all types of sports and stuff. And most of my uncles, it was like local stars and stuff, with softball or, anything. And they was always the celebrities of the city. And I had this one uncle, man. It was Uncle Robert, man. And this man was so fast, man. I'm talking about if he hit the ball to center field playing softball, he would make it home. And that's how fast he was. And I looked up that I was like, man, shoot, if he fast like that, if I can become that fast, shoot, man, can't nobody beat me. And once and the thing is, I think the man let me beat him this one time, man. And
He did. He probably let you
I
know.
really do, man, because I was about 14 years old, man, and we raced in the street by about 30 yards, and I got him. And JC, man, when I say, man, that the confidence it gave me for speed,
It instilled that confidence. He knew. He probably knew that too. He needed
man,
to give you that confidence in what it took.
it was to the point where I didn't care who would get up on the side of me. You gonna take a L, I'm gonna be right there on your heel. I ain't
You
care who
know,
it was. And that's something that I always thought about. I mean, and I remember when I got to Tennessee though, JC, and I ran that 40. The first time I ran it, and I ran like a 4.68, and Jermaine had ran like a 4.71. Jermaine Copeland.
yeah.
And of course, everybody was like tap jumping on me like I had did something special. I'm like, man, that's
Uh,
slow as I don't know what. Because I'm thinking I'm running a 4.4, 4.5 and all this stuff. And you get the real stuff. But my uncle, man, I give it to him. I pay tribute to him, man, as far as keeping me, aware of stuff, and I had, especially with the basketball, my uncles,
yeah.
they all play basketball and they still mad at me because I didn't play basketball. But of course, I couldn't continue to play basketball because of the knee. When I had chance
Hold
and I
up, stop, stop. So
that shut
hold
that
on,
down for a
hold
scholarship
on,
wise.
hold on. So you talk about basketball, you talk about knees, so that you automatically get me to the story of I don't know if it was the second, third, or first time you tore your ACL. It was one of the injuries. I lost track, brother. Like brother got hurt so many times, but that gets me to just being super athletic. You and I tell people the story. Some people believe. Well, the people who were there obviously believe it, and some people that know you believe it. But I tell other people the story. They don't believe it. It's like how much were you when you the story. You know the story I'm talking about. How much were you weighing at the time you did this? I'm gonna tell them what you did after that.
Man, I was
What
about
are you,
I was about 275, man.
275? Okay. So this man took you're probably less than 2 weeks away. It might have been the same week, but it was less than 2 weeks away from you tearing your ACL. And we're at over by the Hyper or wherever we were playing basketball. And this man with a torn ACL at 275 pounds dunks a basketball. So that right there, that cemented it for me. Was like this is truly one of the most athletic individuals I've ever seen to, for one, have that kind of dexterity. Even at 275, I was still, because I used to play basketball too. I was healthy and still was struggling to dunk. I could still dunk at the time, but it didn't come easy anymore. So to see that, I was like, all right, I'm done, man. I was like, I knew it wasn't gonna take him too long to come back too. So tell what was going through your mind to even try that and to let you know you could even do it.
Well, this is my redshirt freshman year, man. And I had just tore my ACL playing against Southern Mississippi, and of course, I can't do anything, can't practice, can't do nothing. And actually, no, that's the second one. Now let's go to the first one.
Yeah.
It was the first one, man. Which is the first one was my redshirt. First one would have been against South Carolina when I'm playing DN. So I tore my ACL, and of course, I didn't tell nobody that I tore it at that time or whatever. But once I knew I tore it and everything, and told the coaches and stuff, and Rolo had found out what happened, and they told me I had to have surgery and stuff, but they told me it wasn't going to be for like 2-3 weeks. So I had to strengthen up this quad muscle and all this stuff to be able to have a good recovery or something like that. Of course, I'm young. I didn't.
You got to rehab before the surgery to build it up. Yeah.
But I didn't care about that. I was like, man, I can't practice. I can't do nothing. True, man. So I'm over there. I'm walking. I was getting ready to go over to somebody's place over there. Somebody. The friend I was
don't tell who you was going to see, man.
And I'm walking in through Stokely. And
I know where you were going, by the way. I remember where you were going, but anyway.
And the men basketball team, they was out there just playing pickup basketball. I'm like, shoot, I'm about to go out here and play too. Shoot, hey, crib out there. I'm gonna go out there. So I go out there. I'm out there shooting with them. They out there balling. I'm like, man, these dudes sorry. I'm like, y'all play back. I ain't tell them that though. I'm like, y'all play basketball. So I start hooping with them and stuff, and I'm taking the ball to the hole, and then when I go up and dunk, and I remember Tony tore her hair. He was like, what the?
I'm like, what? Yeah.
And I remember, I forgot what coach he was, the men's basketball coach at that time. I forgot his name.
That was Kevin O'Neal that was there at the time. That was O'Neal.
He's the one that told on me though, man. He went, he was basically trying to find out. I guess he thought I was a walk-on. And he was trying to find out, who I was, and they told me to play football, and that got back to Coach Foreman. And Coach Foreman didn't like it.
Foreman wasn't the guy you needed to worry about. It was Rolo you needed to worry about.
Yeah, it was Rolo. I wasn't worried. See, I was worried about Coach Foreman, but I was really worried about
Rolo.
Because Rolo, he didn't play, man. That's the first thing. Hey, I'm gonna tell you that. That's one of the few things that I was told as a freshman. Do not get on Rolo's bad side. And it was true throughout my whole career. I see guys didn't listen to that one statement. It cost some careers.
but because I knew it was serious with Rolo when we were practicing, and if it was a storm or something like that, or what it was, he was too hot or whatever. He didn't ask Coach Foreman anything before. He looked up at the dude with the horn and was like, "Blow it." He should when he had the power to shut down practice without talking to Phil. I already knew what time it was at that point. And Mike Rolo was, and if there was a call about somebody practicing, playing or whatever, that was Rolo's call. He wasn't trying to hear what anybody else was talking about and there was a reason why. We figured out, that he had that best interest of everybody, his best interest at heart. So that's what was motivating him. He wasn't gonna let somebody go out there and do something they didn't need to be doing.
Mike Rolo was my best friend, man.
Rolo's my guy, man. once you get to know him, he's funny, man. He had the dry sense of humor,
Yeah,
and it was just like he tell a joke with a straight face, and it's like you had to know him to know he was joking, and
yeah,
that's a legend, man. That's like he's just him, Stuckey. That's the fact. Everybody talks about the players and the coaches and everybody else, but man, without Rolo and Stuckey, we weren't anything. Like it was like if we didn't have them propping us up, we wouldn't have been what we were.
yeah. That's how basketball went with me, man. I mean, I just love. I mean, to me, when I first played, I mean, that was like wasn't my favorite sport, but it was a sport that it got the women, the girls back in high school too, man. You know,
You're right about that though, because your football, can't nobody see your face. They don't like, you because I can see you now running through the warm up line on your tiptoes. Warren run on his tiptoes. First of all, I can see him doing a little cool job, doing a little tiptoe thing. Yeah, I can see you doing that.
oh man, it was fun, man. I mean, I used to do I used to mess with the crowd too, JC. Like, I never dunked in a game in high school.
Stop it.
I would
Stop.
be on a
Cut it.
fast break, JC, and I would go up and just lay it up off the glass and touch the glass. The crowd would be like, oh,
Boo.
but
All right.
practice, my hand be all cut up and everything. We turn the rim up.
All right. All right, so cool. So now I know where you got some of your athleticism from. I know, where the basketball thing comes from. So take me to when you were in high school, Magnolia. Were you still playing? But you played basketball
Yes.
some in high school. So you cut it down to basketball, football, right?
Yes, I played. Yeah, I played basketball, football, baseball for one game, and I quit.
Curveball got you, didn't it? That's what got me.
That's
Curve.
something,
I couldn't.
man. That left hand is no joke. Well, when
That
it's like
curveball got
to
me.
touch your eyeballs and then go swoop. No.
So I'm gonna tell you, baseball was my favorite sport until it was a little bit before. It was right around probably ninth grade. I got to that point, and I was up. I got in the batter's box, and I'm digging in. Big dude, Gooch, Jeff Gooch was I think was his name, and I knew he had a good fastball because I've been playing with him since we were small, man. But he was like a real baseball player. Come to find out, and I'm in the box, man, and I'm like he lets go. And I see the ball coming, like when he lets it out of his head, it's coming like right at my face. So I bailed out, hit the ground, everything. I'm on the ground and I hear the ump say stride. I was like, what? He threw me like a little nasty curveball. I was like, man, I can't do this, man. I was like, I already know. That let me know right there. I was like, this isn't for me because I'm not sitting there with the ball coming at my face, waiting on it to curve. I was like, all right, I'm gonna finish because I ain't quit. I'm gonna finish this out. But I can't keep doing this. And that like I can hit a fastball, I can hit some changes, but that curveball, man, that was my Achilles heel. It's what got me off the diamond right there. So Magnolia, you playing basketball, you playing football, you played one baseball game. So talk to me about. So I can't remember with your class. What was it? Yeah, your class coming out. You a linebacker. What put you in position coming out of Mississippi? Because we all know Mississippi has ball players. But what class were y'all in the school y'all played in?
40.
Y'all were 4A. So what y'all? Mississippi goes to 5A, right? All right, so you in one of the bigger Mississippi. We know Mississippi Tiger. The athletes come out of Mississippi. So talk to me about your high school years in Mississippi and what made Tennessee come pluck. And I know I was there when they was coming to get you, so I know how they wanted you. What made them want to come pluck Billy Ratliff out of Mississippi as bad as they did? Talk to me about that.
Man, JC, what's funny about you asking that question, man? I talked to a guy today that I played with in the Mississippi All-Star game. Antoine Edwards that went to Clemson.
I know Antoine. That was I'm from South. I know Clemson because I
And,
remember Antoine.
and we was talking about they got this Mississippi high school site on Facebook that I just joined, and they was talking about. Well, he was talking about what high school team is better than his high school team or whatever.
Right.
He's like, we ran through everybody we played against, and then everybody was posting on the page. They say, well, do you remember y'all played South Pike in that state championship game? and y'all didn't. It was 13-13, and y'all kicked the field goal to win. And then this is what he said. He said, if the field condition wasn't as bad as it was, we would have whooped them worse. And JC, and this would and I told him that today. I said, you lucky the field conditions the way they were, because you probably wouldn't have made it through the first quarter. Because I'm taking your ass out the game.
See, we had one of those, man. We lost our state. We 14-0. We lost the state championship game 2-0. We were playing. Funny you say talking about Antoine. We played in Clemson Stadium, and they had that raggedy Bermuda. It rained all week, and I don't use that as an excuse. We lost, but yeah, field conditions were the same thing for that game right there too. So I already know what you're talking about.
It was funny, man. And of course, everybody I ain't have to say nothing. Everybody already backing me up. They said, man, Billy Ratliff took out 2 dudes on 1 play. But Tennessee, I think what they liked about me, man, when they came got me, man, was the fact I can run to the ball. I'm knocking people's heads off. And I was just a straight headhunter, man. I mean, I'm averaging 15, 16 tackles a game, 14 solo. I mean, that's all I wanted to do was knock people's heads off. I always, looked at Mike Singletary, and guys like Derek Thomas, DB, Derek Brooks. I mean, those guys, that's who I wanted to play like. And all I wanted to do, man, was just knock somebody's head off, man. I mean, I ain't have time. I ain't want to celebrate or nothing. I get up and go straight back to the huddle and wait till the next play, and I'm going to try to knock your head off. I didn't have that's all I wanted to do, man, was just run to the ball and knock people's head off. I didn't even want to play offense, because if I played offense,
you like me? I don't want to do it.
People wanted to hit me the way I wanted to hit
yeah, right.
I don't want no part of that.
So that's your point, because I knew the mentality I had as a defender. I was like, why do I want to subject myself to what I'm trying to do to other people, give them the chance to do it to me? I didn't care about them scoring the touchdowns or whatever. I just want I'm like you. I just want to knock somebody's head off. I just want to stop you. I want to break your will, stop you from scoring. I don't care about that. That's for the fancy people. That's the people who want to play offense. Like, I didn't even want to do that. Yeah. So I feel you on that.
It was fun, man. High school football, man. I mean, my coaches, they had a scheme for me that just, it made our defense just crazy, man. I mean, it'd be rare that anybody would score more than 13 points. If they do, I mean, I'm on the sideline, because most of the time it's going to be either 0, 3, or 6.
There you go.
That's all we did. I mean, I told Coach, and I always say, Coach, I just want to play defense. I don't care what it is, as long as I can hit people. And he came up with this other thing, JC, man, punt return, man. He put me on punt return, man. And he had
I think I don't know if I saw the film on this, but I think we may have seen this. Somebody put it on before you got there. And they like, look at this big dude on punt return. It's like, I think I saw this before you actually got there.
I watched it recently, man, and I felt bad now, man. Now that I look, because it's a cut up of me just on punt return, and I'm the lead man on punt return, and everybody think they gonna knock the punt returner out. And every time that guy that's about to hit my man goes out on a stretcher, an ambulance, back to Southwest Hospital every game. They got to the point where they started trying to kick it away, but they didn't know that all I had to do was just find the ball, my punt returner, and go to where he at and knock whoever trying to hit him and put him to sleep. I didn't even catch. It was the point, man, I didn't even see people doing fair catch. I mean, if they didn't put it up high enough, by the time I got my eyes down to see you, they going night-night. It was like watching a movie program, JC.
So we've established that Billy Ratliff dominated high school football. So we got that part out the way. So now let's take Billy Ratliff to Knoxville, Tennessee. We all did our thing. We convinced Billy Ratliff to bring his talents to Knox Vegas. So let's talk about that. Like, give me the how do you feel about? Give me the overall view before we start getting into some specifics. There are specifics. Just tell me, how do you feel? And people ask me this question. That's why I want to ask you that question. First of all, people ask me, like, would you change, if you could go back and do it over, would you change your decision and potentially go somewhere else? And then talk about how you think your time there went.
I'll tell you this here. I mean, I don't think I would change because, every school that I went to was all totally different. I mean, there was not one college I visit that was the same. Now, the one thing that stood out with Tennessee, it wasn't the facilities or the
Nah.
team or anything because I didn't know anything about Tennessee. The only thing I ever knew was Heat Schuler, number 21. That's the only thing I've heard about Tennessee. I ain't know no Rocket Top. I ain't know the Smoky. I didn't know none of that stuff. And when I got to Tennessee, it was one thing that really stood out was the players. They had just like everybody back in my house. Somebody that's on
Yeah.
my team act
Yeah.
just like one of these dudes that I'm
Yep.
with you. I ain't care if it was like the host or like my
Mhm.
class. It was just like that. And then when I got there, that's when it was real though, because these dudes they took me in. Well, let me slow it down a little bit, because when I got there, everybody, you expect for it to just be like it was on your recruiting trip and everything, but they did everything to get you there now.
So let me jump in because I know what you might, because you might not get to it, I'm gonna get to it. So because we either had to stop you from going home or somebody had to come and get you from home multiple times during those first
um,
two years or so. When we were here, Worm going home for the weekend. Oh hell no, he might not come back. Don't let Worm go home, or y'all check on Worm before he go because we need to get Big Bro back. We need to get
uh,
Bro back up here. So and we all went through that to a certain degree.
yeah,
So I know. So let's talk about that a little bit.
I was like, well, I'll tell you this, like my freshman year, it was tough, man,
Mhm.
because you're talking about coming to college at age 16. You've been away from your family and stuff, and you're not used to being by yourself, taking care of yourself, doing stuff your own. And I'm used to, I'm a mama's boy. You think you're gonna always be there.
Yeah,
And I got hurt doing the freshman practices, and
I
I
can relate.
I was
Yep.
already hurt. I had shin splints and stuff, and that's what it was. What got me though was the fact that I felt like they didn't treat me the same
They
when
who?
it came
Let's
to
talk. They who? Who are we talking about?
everybody, man. I mean, like the coaches, the trainers, the Rolo, everybody, man. Because even though they did, I didn't feel that way, because when I got hurt, they let me go back to the dorm room. They gave me this
Yeah.
little thing that was called a bone stimulator for my shin
Yeah.
splint. And I think it was a mind thing, 'cause that damn thing didn't work. And I'm in the room, every day. I go to training room, meetings, training room.
Mhm.
And this is summer. I mean, this is like right before, like, it's fall camp. It's right
Yeah.
before. And the next day, my roommate, Ion Martin, he tore
Street
his
pot.
three
Three
pot.
pot. Yeah.
He
Three
tore
pot.
his ACL.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what got me was the fact that they sent him home with his family to rehab with his knee. So, in my mind, I'm like, hold on, man.
They knew you were. They couldn't let you go home, man. They knew that you already home. So you gotta admit, we knew you were already showing signs of homesickness before that. That's why they didn't want you to go home. Ion was in the state of Tennessee. They figured he's not that far away. They're gonna let him hook. They didn't want you to go home because they didn't want you at Ole Miss, Southern Miss, Mississippi State, wherever the case may be. So, but I understand the mental talk, because me and you both, we got that same connection too. I got hurt my freshman year. I'm sitting out. I'm sitting. There's nothing worse than while they're out there practicing, you sitting over there in rehab, or you sitting in your dorm, or they go on to a game and you over there, you can't do anything. Like, I know what kind of mental toll. Like, my injury, even though I was in the cast for the world's longest foot injury for like 9 months. It's like that wasn't as bad as what it does to you up top. Because, and my mom was like, you gonna have to tough that out. I try to go home. It's like, no, because any that's the inclination is to you retreat to what you know, because you haven't been there long enough to establish your roots enough when you get hurt like that your freshman year. So I know what it was, and it was like I told we used to try like we can't let Warren go home, man. He ain't coming back. We got to keep him up here because he might not make it back up here.
And see, look, and then when I young went home, like I'm pissed off in the room. This dang on bone stimulator on my leg and stuff. I'm thinking I'm gonna get healthy real quick because I ain't never seen this gadget before. And I got what was called pale green. Man, I had $1,565. I had never seen a bill bigger than a $10 bill, man. And I got $1,500. Man, when Miss Seller told me I had a check at the bursar's office, I hopped my butt up and went over and got that check, and I ain't know what to do with the check, man. I'm like, I got a check here. I ain't called mama and tell her nothing. Because I knew if I told her, she'd have told me to send that thing to the crib.
Right.
Man, but then I hit Cap Rowan up. Cap said, hey, man, we're going to take First Tennessee, get your bank account.
Yeah.
Get it open. Like that. I said, okay, cool. Boom. Now I got some checks. I ain't never had no checkbook before. I got a checkbook. And this little card they gave me, I'm like, I got a little credit card. I ain't know what that was, though. I'm country boy. I ain't know nothing about that stuff.
Right. But again, we can't let you now that we definitely can't let you go home now because you got a checking account, you got a card, you gonna go home and you're show off with your friends, like can't let you go. Man, so we got that's a good we got somebody other brother that popped in on us that we got to go ahead and let everybody know to join. Riggs, what's up, brother? Beast University.
Warren, what's happening?
What's going on, Mr. Riggs?
What's going on, man? How y'all fellas doing?
Hey, we good, man.
Yes, man. Can't complain. How you doing?
Can't complain either, man. You know what I mean? Trying to make it happen in this COVID world we live in.
Hey, I see everybody got that taco meat on their face.
Hey, look, man. Look,
my stuff is
y'all all decked out. You know what I mean? I'm kind of like. I got the hair out. So I went and got my hat. You know what I mean? Because I know my hair is rough right now. Hey, I ain't got my hat. You know what I mean? Cover up the little, get it straight.
So that you came in at a good time. We're gonna segue out. Me and Warren, we were talking about his journey and how we got here. So, I know we're talking about how Warren got to some of his injuries while he was there. I talked about some of mine too. Hate to come in on that note, but I know your story and I know some of the things that you dealt with while you were at the University of Tennessee too. So, come in and talk a little bit about that because I think, and the reason why I say that because I think that plays a part. I know it definitely plays a part in all three of us and where the path we took after that and how we deal with stuff after that. So I think this is a good time. It's not always pretty, but I think we do need to talk about it and let people hear about it and see, talk about, some of your experience in Tennessee, what you dealt with while you were there. With that situation.
So mine was a little different. You guys got hurt a little bit early.
I got hurt early, late, middle.
Yeah, all that stuff, right? So
we don't want to talk about that now because I got
yeah.
My injury story was kind of a crazy one because kind of to set the stage for it, I had a really good junior year, and I contemplated coming out. And, I was splitting time, and, we were the first, me and Cedric were the first guys to ever go for over 1,000 apiece on the same team. At the time, we were the first ones in the SEC to ever do it. So, they were like, hey, man, you did all of that sharing time. Think what will happen if it's just you. So I was kind of enticed by that. And then at the last minute, I was still getting ready to go. I was actually like, look, man, I'm ready to go. I'm good. I can live with all of that. I'm trying to get paid now. And my mom stepped in the last minute. She was like, hey, you promised me you was going to try to graduate or at least get close. And hey, this is a really big opportunity for you. And so I kind of trusted my mom on that one and was like, look, okay, fine, I'll stay and come back. Did everything I needed to do to be that guy. And then we get, obviously that year, people remember that 2005 year. That was a really crazy year because we had so many people get injured. I think we lost in consecutive weeks. We lost Jason Allen, we lost Sears, and then the next week I was gone, right? So I came back for all of that just to get hurt against Alabama in week 8. And when I got hurt, I knew pretty much like, okay, it was done. Because
what was the injury? I forget. Was it your ankle?
To make it really simple, everybody knows what T.O. did the year he was with Philly, and it happened early. He was able to come back. He tore all the ligaments in his ankle and broke his leg halfway up because he got horse collar. The exact same thing happened to me. Like, as a matter of fact, Dr. Andrews, who's been my doctor, he did my surgery, and he was like, "You want to see something cool or see something cool or kind of crazy?" I was like, "Sure." So he put 2 X-rays up against the deal, and I said, "Dang, man, like that's crazy, bro. Like my injury, you know what I mean?" He was like, "That's you, and that's Terrell Owens, the exact same injury." I was like, "Dang, that's crazy." So did the exact same thing. And, I was basically done. There was, healing time was going to be probably 6 to 8 months. I actually ended up healing in 5, which was crazy. That was like a medical marvel, but not in time to come back for the season. So now, mind you, that year they built me up for the Heisman. I was on
preseason All-American that year. You're on the Heisman wish list. Yeah.
All-American. I was on the Heisman short list for the Heisman. Guys like me, Reggie Bush, Adrian Peterson, Matt Leinart, who was a return winner. So, it was set up to be a really good year. And then obviously, we didn't have as much success as everybody thought. And then I get hurt. So after I got hurt, it was kind of a weird time, man. But like,
stop right there. Hold on. Talk about it. When you say weird time, what do you mean by a weird time? Because we just talk about when it get hurt, like weird stuff happens to you mentally.
Yeah,
stuff happens to you. People walk away from you. You don't feel the love anymore.
That was the reason why it was such a weird time for me. Because
let's talk about that.
Growing up my entire life, obviously being the son of an NFL, player and Super Bowl winner and Pro Bowler, and, having the success that I had, I had to stop making friends. You know what I mean? Like I didn't, it was kind of one of those things like, all right, I'm good.
No new friends. I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good on that. And, you would think that the people that knew the most about you, who saw your evolution, saw how, because when I came into college, man, like I was like a lot of guys, man. I had a lot of resources at my disposal and had a lot of avenues to gain information that a lot of people didn't have. But at the same time, I was still an 18-year-old kid, man. Like I wanted to do my own thing, So I was wild, I was crazy, I was making mistakes and making bad decisions and things like that. But I turned things around and got myself together and was like, look, I really want this bad enough, and tried to prove to everybody that, I really wanted to be there and deserved to be there. So, when I got hurt, like there was nobody. And that was the thing that like hit me the worst. Was like, crazy thing is I had 5 people come and visit me in my hospital room after I had my surgery. Only one of them was a football player, and he was a kicker. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He was a kicker. And he was the dude that, actually 2 of them. It was 2 kickers, you know what I mean, that came and was like, because they we had to struck up a friendship, and, it was a genuine friendship. So they came to see me, and then some other homies that I had that were just regular students. It was Halloween too, which made it worse. So they were all dressed up, but they came in there, took pictures, and was like, yo, man, like, we love you. Get out, get better. When you get better, we'll be waiting on you and stuff like that. But not one teammate came to see me. Not one coach came to see me. Not one coach called. Nothing. And here it is. I was your All-American. I was your Heisman guy. I was one of the guys that, regardless of how the season went, like I was still going out there, man, going to war for my boys every Saturday. And so that one hurt, man. Like that one really hurt, because you would think like, of all the people that would be there for you in that moment, you would think it'd be the people that saw you go through the most.
Yeah. And so let me tell you about that. So because we talked about how I got hurt early and I got hurt late. So I got injured that's why, redshirted my freshman year, but I also got hurt in the SEC championship game, in between that and the national championship game. to where now I will say when I got hurt that game, now my teammates, were there. And it was like we all, because even after the game they came to my hotel room just so we celebrated together. But there was that period between there and the bowl game. It was a weird time because even as much as they tried to be there, even I ain't gonna say they fell off, but they fell off a little bit. And even as I was trying to figure out what we were gonna do, because I had people in my ear telling me, don't go back out there. You need to try to rehab, have surgery, and try to do whatever after that. But then it's like, no, well, you need to play her and I want to play too. So I needed somebody probably to protect me from myself and say, no, you don't need to come out there. Because when I watched that game, I'm dragging my leg around the whole time. But it was weird from the coach. Everybody, again, I'm not trying to call out any coach but Coach Brooks, because he's out. We talk right now. And it was one of those things to where
Coach Brooks always been solid, man.
I
didn't
if I don't
play for the man, still.
Right. If I don't get a text from on my birthday, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, any holiday, there's certain close family that I don't hear from, but I hear from Brooks every time. Or he'll call or do certain things. But it was like you feel disconnected just when you're not there all the time, and you need to have that connection. Like Worm, because yours was during the season your senior year. So because after all that we're gonna come back to you in a minute, Rig. So Worm, and this is about to tie in all of what you had been through before you get to your senior year. Then you get there, it's like, man, that hurt me because I watched what you go through, and I was like, it's his time now. And it's like I was watching that season to watch you. Yeah, Catnip was out there, everybody was out there, but they hadn't been through what you had been through. I was watching, I was like, I finally get to see the potential that we saw back when you first got there. It's about to be unleashed. And then you get hurt again. And it was your ankle too, wasn't it?
Yep, broke my ankle, man.
So tell me about that and just the whole thing with that and how that impacted, where you were going.
Man, I'll tell you this here, man. Like
you going to talk about it if you need a second. That's some, because that shit hurt me. I'm telling you, it did. I was like, when it happened, that hurt me. I'm gone. I ain't even there no more.
Season of your career at Tennessee, my junior year, only year, I get through it a healthy season without getting injured. And of course, the next we're projected to repeat. And sure, I mean, I'm fresh, man. I mean, I'm fast.
Hold on, let me stop you for a second. Repeat, the team that y'all had. This is a whole nother conversation. Repeat is an understatement. I would have bet every penny I had and would have projected to have that you guys wouldn't have come close to losing the game that year. I was like, there's no way. Nobody's going to beat them. There's no way that you would have. I would have said y'all would have lost the game.
And that's the way we was playing, JC. I'm telling you, man. I felt like there was not one man on this earth at that time that can block me. The stuff that I had been taught and learned, there was no offensive lineman that can block me. And there was only one, that was Cozy. But other than that, nobody that would even attempt to do that line up across from me that didn't have orange and white on. And I get through healthy this season, and I come out projected to be a high draft pick and all that stuff, which Jason, I didn't care about that shit. All I want to do is play ball and go get it. And I'm out here balling, man. I mean, I'm getting it, man. And we play Auburn, second play of the game.
I was watching it, yeah.
First play of the game. I'm on my toes too.
You always on your toes.
I'm in the backfield, made tackle for loss. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be an easy one here, baby.
Barbecue chicken, yeah.
Next play, pow, same thing. And out of nowhere, man. I mean, I just felt this burning sensation in my ankle. And I've never laid on the field or anything. I can be hurt or whatever. I'm gonna find a way to get off so nobody know I'm hurt, just in case I can get back in the game. This one time, man, this is the only time I would say, man, when I felt like I defeated, man. And when they carried me off the field and I went to the sideline and, it was hurting, man. I mean, it took that shoe off and my ankle swelled up a little bit, but then they put it back on. I said, wrap it up, man. I'm about to go back out here, man. Give me some Tylenol or something. I'm going to go back out here. Man, they gave me that naproxen, man. That stuff didn't work. I mean, I'm talking about it's burning, man. I'm talking about it felt like somebody was cutting my leg, man, like with a hot knife branding me. And I couldn't go back out there, man. It took the shoe off, and my ankle swelled up so much, man. And that right there, man, I was like, come on, man, it can't be again. And I didn't want them to take me off the field, like with the stretching stuff, haul me out and stuff like that, because no one knew that I was seriously injured.
Right.
I told them, I said, man, I'm not going out there. You're going to find another way to take me to the damn locker room and get my ankle looked at. And they took me through this little tunnel thing behind the bench right there. It was like a little presidential thing. Go through these tunnels, and I end up at the locker room. And I remember, man, Dr. Mathians and Dr. Yeoman, them, man, was doing this little motion with my ankle, and they was like telling me, like, this ligament here is torn, and typically when you tear this ligaments, you're gonna have that's some broken bones, man. And that one killed me, man. I mean, I never felt defeat before in my life, man, with an injury, because I thought, I can always come back for injuries, but this one right here, man, was the toughest one, man. I couldn't do it, man. I kept rehabbing. I kept doing everything. They got me seeing like all the doctors, Dr. Andrews. They got people coming from LA and all this stuff to try to get me back on the field, but nothing could get me back, man, because of the nerve damage that I had got, man. It was the nerve damage that killed me, and to this day, I still don't have that much feeling on that foot, man.
I know. So, like I said, when we talk, then we're gonna come back to that. So hold that thought. So that puts you in a place right there. So now I want to go back to Riggs. So we all kind of ended up in that same place. We all had that end of the season injury, and I'm gonna tell you, later on. Well, I want to hear from you. I know where that put me later and the chain of events. So talk to me a little bit about from there on out. Tell me about the next couple years and what that what that looked like.
The next couple years, man, like to put that kind of in a box is like, it kind of messed with me for a while. I've dealt with it, so I have no problem discussing it. Like, people always wonder what happened, because people had high expectations even after that. You know what I mean? What I was going to do at the next level. And, some of the things that transpired after that injury, man, just totally, really just messed me up. Like, because, to play this game, all of us that have done it know you got to trust the people around you, right? Absolutely. You got to trust that the people around you, whoever you surround yourself with, and the people that you end up being a part of, because, where you go or wherever, where the chips fall, you got to be able to trust them. And at that point, I didn't trust anybody. Like, I didn't trust anybody. I didn't want to get close to anybody. When people would try to get close to me, I would almost, just kind of be an ass, you know what I mean? Just to put it bluntly, because, I told myself I was never going to allow myself to get connected to anybody like that again. You know what I mean? I was never going to allow myself to let my guard down enough to ever believe in anybody to where they could ever let me down again. You know what I mean? If I was going to be let down, then, hey, I let myself down. You know what I mean? Like, I could deal with that. But, other people let me down when I gave them an opportunity to, be there for me, and vice versa. Man, that's what basically it ended up doing to me in a nutshell. So, and what led to that was, after I got hurt, I couldn't even really fly back with the team because, my leg was so damaged that they couldn't put me on a plane. So I had to stay. I had to stay in Birmingham. I ended up driving to Birmingham. I had to stay in Birmingham for like a week. And then they did my surgery. I came back. I'm crutching around, and I'm thinking, okay, man, hey, do the right thing. You know what I mean? You might not be able to go to class. You might not be able to go do all the things because it's so painful, just to even stand up. Like, they told me I was supposed to be bedridden for like 3 weeks because, just the blood running down into my foot, my ankle area was just so intense that it was like you described it, Worm. You know what I mean? It was like literally somebody taking a blowtorch, man, and just going to work on your foot. You know what I mean? So that's what I was feeling. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to be there for my guys. I'm going to do the right thing. You know what I mean? So I crushed my way to practice. We were getting ready to play Notre Dame that week. And I crushed the practice. And, the head, I'm walking by in the complex. Everybody's already out of practice. And the head man, he's not even out there yet, but he's coming on the field, right? He's coming like off the, I guess.
So we're talking about Phil. We're talking about Phil, right?
Yeah. We're talking about Philip. So he walks by me, and I'm thinking like, hey, you at least gonna say, what's up? How you feeling? What's going on? Like, just how's your mentals right now? Like, hey, stick with the team. You know what I mean? Like, I know things are down, but if you want to, stick with the team. And it was none of that. Like, the only thing that this fool said to me was, hey, are you going to still go to class? Because, the APR is very important. And I'm like, damn, for real? Like, that's the only thing you got to say to me? Like, after everything that happened? And at that moment, I'll never forget, man. Like, I just turned around. I kind of dealt with it for like 10 minutes. I called my folks up and was like, hey, get up here tomorrow. I'm going to be packing everything I got. We'll put everything else in the storage. If we can't get it, I'm out. Like, I don't want nothing. I don't want to be here. Don't want to be nowhere around here. Don't want nothing to do with nobody here. And
let me ask you a question, man. Because I have a similar story. It doesn't need to be told right now because I want to get back to your question because, I'll be completely honest with people. And I say this right. I think me and you have talked about this before because if you had asked me when I left the University of Tennessee based on my relationship, and I don't have anything negative, a lot of negative to say about Coach Foreman. But if you ask me if I would still have some kind of contact or connection with him 5, 10, 15, 20 years after I left there, I would have back then I would have told you no. And It was simply because of some of the interactions that were there, but it ended up being the exact opposite of that. It was like and he's the one who initiated that about 5, and I've learned this story about 5 years after I left there. He started, he sent me something. We started talking, and we've talked about, and I've kind of slowly let out like what my issues were back then, and so what do you think that was about? Because like I didn't feel like, just like you, I didn't feel like when I was there that I would have felt that. What do you think that? Because of you did give so much to the program, and you were decorated. You were you part of the fabric, a real big part of the fabric of Tennessee ball. What do you think that was about? Because I know you're a senior and you're not playing anymore, and they're about what you can do for me right now. Do you think it had anything to do with that?
My thing was, man, like there were so many other things that happened while I was at school. Like I said, I was no choir boy, right? So, there were things that, they let me get away with that I know for a fact other guys, they got them up out of there the first time they even tried that mess. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And for me, I was always like, man, that's kind of not fair, bro. Like, we're 18, 19-year-old kids. Like, we're still trying to figure this stuff out. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of us are away from home for the first time on a regular basis. So we're trying to figure this stuff out. And I always had that stick in my side for how he did a couple of my other homies. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. All right.
But he always showed me love, though. He always was like, hey, man, he would be mad, but at the same time, he'd be like, I love you. We're not going to just throw you to the wayside. So when that happened, I was like, all of that was fake, bro. Like, if there was any time for you to show some love and be there for me, this would be it. You know what I mean? Like, if I screw up, I don't expect you to show me no love. I expect you to give me my discipline, and then, you know what I'm saying, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, but at this point in time, I expected to get that somebody to put their hand on my shoulder and say, hey, man, we're here for you. We're all of that. And when he said that, bro, like that just crushed me, man. Cause I was like, I gave everything for you, bro. Like I almost transferred after my sophomore year. You know what I mean? And I decided to come back. I almost left after my junior year just to say, screw it. I'm just go to the league and deal with that. I came back. And some of that was selfish, for coming back. But then a lot of that was because I was like, man, I believed in what we had. You know what I mean? I believed in the guys that were there. I believed in the direction we were going. And I was like, bro, like we're on the cusp of the national championship. So why? And that's one of the reasons I came to Tennessee. You know what I mean? Like I didn't come to Tennessee to just, whatever. I came to Tennessee because I wanted to win a national championship, get an opportunity to play in the NFL. Right. That was the reason why. So when that happened, man, it just, and the way he did it, it just really crushed me. And I was just really hurt by that. You know what I mean? And it was really hard for me to get past with him for a long time. And as a matter of fact, after I got healthy and I ended up getting with the Dolphins and I was there and then I came back on an off week to go to a game, but I walked up in the office when I got there on a Friday and was like, hey, man, can we talk? And he was like, yeah, let's talk. And at the time, I asked him straight up, because there were some other things that came out when I was going through the draft process that were said. And I was like, wow, like, you know what I mean? Like, he said that? And they were like, well, yeah, he said that. You know what I'm saying? I was like, well, I mean, dang, like, that's not true. But, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, what am I supposed to do? You know what I mean? That's Philip Farmer. Like, you know what I mean? You're going to take his word before you take mine. So I was just kind of really hurt by that. So I confronted him and was like, hey, man, like, aside from, what you said when I got hurt, but like, why all of this? Like, what happened? You know what I mean? Like, I gave everything for you. And then when it was my time to get a little something, because he also knew my family situation. You know what I mean? Right. He knew that, and he wouldn't mind me talking about it. Like, my old man had everything at one point in time. And then, some bad things happened and he lost it all. So like, people thought that I grew up living this like crazy privileged life, you know what I mean? But like after 8th grade, like it wasn't like that. You know what I mean? Like it was not like that at all. You know what I'm saying? So, he knew my family situation and everything that I was working for. And when combined what he said to me at the time when I was hurt, and then what I found out he said about me later on, I was like, hey man, like what's the deal? Why did you do it? You know what I mean? Like what was your reason behind that? And at the time, he was like, I didn't say those things and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, dude, I know you did. You know what I'm saying? But I was like, okay, you're not going to tell me the truth. So that made it even worse. You know what I mean? And I was already emotionally dealing with a lot because, I was trying to make it, on the Dolphins roster. I was down in Miami, basically alone. I didn't have my folks there. Like, I didn't have anybody there. Like, hell, like when I tell you everybody was gone after I got hurt, like I mean everybody was gone. Like I'm talking about
everybody's
gone. Y'all gonna laugh, bro, but I'm talking about my parents were there, all that stuff. Nah. I'm talking about friends, teammates, the girlfriend, everybody gone. You know what I mean? Like,
no, we're not. I know where I'm not like because I like again. I don't want to take too much time to get your platform, but I know because most everybody, unless the smallest of the circle was still there. The smallest family and friend, anybody that was extraneous was gone. And You're right. You left with the core people, and you probably whoever you were talking to right then is probably who you're still cool with and talking to.
Oh right yeah.
So it's like no, I definitely understand that. So and I can see, I understand like where that puts you, what kind of place like that puts you in. Now we're gonna talk about like because I know you were in. When you went to Miami, you went to Chicago, you were in Rain, you went to Toronto?
Toronto? So I went to Miami, then I went to Chicago, and then Chicago put me in NFL Europe after the season was over. So
you're Rain, yeah.
Ryan Fire, I was playing for Ryan Fire. After that, I was out of football for 2 years. Didn't play, was on nobody roster, was nothing. Crazy story, bro. Like kind of goes into what we were talking about. Was like within a year, bro, like I had gained like 50 pounds, bro. Like I was like 265 pounds, man. Like I was just like, I was on some other stuff, man. Like just wasn't, just was not myself at all. And then I was like, man, I can't do this no more. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'll never forget. I was in Dick's Sporting Goods, and I don't know if you guys know this name or know who this guy is, but his name was Cos DiMatteo, and he played receiver. Yeah, okay. So he played receiver at UTC. He was a baller too. Played along, played in the NFL Europe and did his thing, whatever. Played in the CFL a little bit. So he was coaching with the Toronto Argonauts at the time. He was the receiver coach, and he was in there. I guess he was home for the season or whatever, because the season was over, and he was like, Riggs. I was like, what's up, man? And he was like, what are you doing right now? I was like, honestly, man, I'm just trying to get some workout shit that'll fit. You know what I mean? Because my ass is 265 right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't fit none of the stuff I used to wear. So I'm just in here grabbing some stuff to wear. And he was like, what you gonna do with yourself? I was like, man, I don't really know, bro. Like, he was like, do you want to play football still? And I was like, I would love to play football, man. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I do. Like, that's in the blood, bro. But I just don't understand. I just don't know how that's gonna happen. And he was like, man, look, it's November right now. He said, I'm gonna be back here. What was this? March, January, March, April, May. He said, I'm gonna be back here in May.
Yeah, they started like June. Yeah, they started.
Yeah.
June,
he said,
whatever.
you got from now until May to get yourself in the best shape you possibly can. And if you get yourself in the right shape, I guarantee you I will get you on the roster. So I was like, okay. I was like, and that was the test for me because, again, remember I told you, I ain't trust nobody. Like, Don't feed me nothing. Like, don't say nothing to me because I know you're full of it. Don't even waste your time talking to me. And but I like something told me he was like, man, just trust this dude, man. Just do what you got to do. So I was 265 in November. By the time May came around, I was like 212. And I was like back to run. I was back to running a 4.4. I was, you know what I'm saying? Like I was on top of it. And then they had mini camp at the beginning of May. He was like, he came in town in Chattanooga. He was like, hey man, run a 40 for me. I ran the 40, ran like a 4.45, right? He was like, all right, I'm gonna call you later on. So he called me. They were like, hey man, you're gonna come to mini camp. So I went to mini camp. They had like a 3-day mini camp.
Yeah.
I went down there, did my thing. I'm like sitting there nervous. I'm like, all right, man, you know, how's this gonna go? So we were getting on the plane to head back. I was flying back from Orlando, where it was, back to Tennessee. And by the time I got back to Tennessee, I had like 5 voicemails. So I get on my phone. I'm like, checking voicemails. It's the Argos. They're like, bro, like, call us back right now. Like, we got 3 offers on the table for you. Do you want a 1-year deal with an option? Do you want a 2-year deal with an option?
That don't want an option. Yeah. That's the one in the option.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm sitting there like, damn, like, okay, like he came through, like, you know what I mean? But I handled my business, but he did what he said. So, you know me, I was like, hey, give me the 3-year and the option. I want some security, bro. Like, I'm going, you know what I'm saying? Like, give me the 3 and the option. I want some security.
Yeah.
And, you know, not to get too much off into that story because we got so much other to get to, but like that was the turning point for me after all of that. And you got to remember, I left college in 2005. This wasn't until 2010.
2010. And that's what so did that with all that you went through and all the twists and turns and everything else, because I know I have a little bit of that, but I managed and I dealt with it. You at least got a chance to give some type of closure because you were there with 3 years, 2 and some change, 3 years?
I was there 3 years and we won a Grey Cup my second year.
So you got a chance to get that closure with that situation. With your football, you kind of capped off your football career. So with all, everything you went through with how you left UT, the trust.
Yeah, we lost you. Yeah, we lost his audio. Let's see if it comes back.
I lost your audio.
Oh, my bad. What were you at that? Yeah, I'm sorry. So they gave you that closure that you were looking. Probably not the exact closure you were looking.
No, I mean, I'll be honest. Like, it wasn't the closure because even the way that ended, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't glorious by any means. You know what I'm saying? It was kind of like, hey.
But you didn't have the questions about. I didn't even get a chance to get on the field.
No. I got on the field, bro.
Yeah. No, I know you played.
And contributed to a championship team and did all this sort of stuff. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I kind of got. I kind of got some sort of redemption, you know what I mean, from everything that I went through.
That's a better word, redemption. So now let's talk about how that whole thing put you on the path to Beast University and what you do right now. And I know where you're trying to go with it, but I want the people to hear how you just talk a little bit about how you started up, you got into what's now Beast University and what you do and what you have going on and where you're trying to take that.
Yeah, so basically all of that I went through, that getting ready from that November to that May was really what spawned Beach University, because I had nobody. Like, I couldn't reach out to I tried to reach out to people. Nobody would help me train. Nobody would help me do anything. Everybody was like, man, hey, we're kind of moving on from that, from you. So I was like, all right, man, if I got to do this, I'm going to do this. It's got to be on my own. You know what I mean? So I had, and I had a knowledge base of everything that I had ever done in my entire life. My dad working with me, and having worked with a trainer when I was in high school, and obviously, being under Johnny Long's wing and Chris Stewart's and Big Rod and all those guys, I learned a lot from them. So I remember I made a phone call to Stu. I made 3 phone calls. I called Johnny, Stu, and Rod, and I said, hey, man, school me, bro. Like, tell me what I need to do to get myself ready, because they were all off in different places. I wasn't going to be able to get to them. I said, tell me what I need to do to get ready. I'm a smart dude. If you just give me the basics, I'll take it and run with it.
You'll figure it out.
Yeah. And they gave me everything I possibly needed, even more so. Like, those 3 right there are the exact reason why I was ever able to play football again. But I took everything that they taught me and then learned even more, and I fell in love with the process and the just the concept of training and getting guys better and getting yourself better and finding out what it is that you're weak at and becoming strong at it. And that was basically what set it off for me. And I fell in love with the whole process that moment. So I told myself, once I was done playing ball, like, as the saying goes, like, if you're not giving back to the game, or you're not finding some way to give back, then you've totally missed the concept of what you were doing. And I was like, how do I give back to the game? How do I give back to something that gave me so much joy, gave me so much success, all of that, right? So I was like, I'm going to train. You know what I mean? I'm going to train athletes, and I'm going to put my heart and soul into them, just like I did those few months to get myself back ready. You know what I mean? So,
all right. And let me ask you a question, because now I think for me because I watch, we could talk again about how me and you even connected, how we, like the bond and the connection that we had, because a lot of it happened over, over social media, but
right.
I see the passion that you have in what you do. And it's like, it's obvious. And to know you better than because I can see how somebody who doesn't really know you would see it, could take it one way, but to know your intention and know your motivation, it gives it a whole different take on it. So, and I think just hearing the story that you've given, because you put so much into these kids, and it's like that trust factor again in it. It's just like, you put it all into them, and, trying to get them to trust you and to really, because you really care about what they're doing, and you care about their well-being. And I think some of that, you can tell me if I'm wrong, was formed by some of your experiences that you had where you didn't exactly get back what you put into it.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. Like I said, one of the stories that I there's a lot of experiences and a lot of things that I, wisdom that I share with my athletes, and, I work with athletes across all different sports, not just football, but there's a story, one of the main stories that I always tell people, and not necessarily a story, but almost just, that the tidbit of wisdom is, hey man, like, you're going to work your ass off and you're still not going to get everything that you want. You know what I mean? Absolutely. You're still not going to get everything that you had and
think you deserve. Yeah.
So don't be so tight. Like, and that's the hardest thing for me. Like, it was so hard for me, but coaching other people up to do it made me better at it. Was don't get so emotionally tied to the results. You know what I mean?
Some therapy for you. Yeah, I can see that's like some therapy, man. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was therapy for me. Like, that's the best way to put it. Like, what I do, and I'll even take a step further. Even now, what I do, it's therapy for me, because I have a love and a passion for football that, like, is rivaled by nothing, right? Like there's even a point in time where I had to step away from even watching the game because it hurt so much. I couldn't watch NFL. I couldn't watch college. Like, I could barely watch high school. You know what I mean? Because the love of the game and because I fell in love with the game at such an early age. And my parents, because of what my dad went through, they didn't want me to jump into the game so early. So they kind of held me out. And I was almost like that junkyard dog chomping at the bit. Yeah. Like, I was like, yo, let me loose. Like, you know what I mean? Let me loose. And when they finally let me loose, I remember my dad was like, damn, I should have let you loose a long time ago. Like, you know what I mean? He was like, I should have cut you loose.
Should have cut you loose a while ago, yeah.
And it was, but, you know, for me to be able to pour myself into my athletes is, you know, like I said, it's therapy for me because, you know, it teaches me a lot of things that at the time when I needed it most, I'll be honest, I wasn't equipped. You know what I mean? Like, I just wasn't equipped. You know what I mean? And some people be like, well, what was the reason for that? And I was like, look, I was a hard-headed kid, man. Like, I didn't too much like listening to anybody. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, look, man, look, you know, if it ain't my mom or dad telling me, and like, quite honestly, like, even from them, you know what I mean? Because their situations were even different from mine. You know, so I was like, look, man, I'm out here I'm kind of navigating this on my own, and I want to do it on my own because I don't ever want anybody. And a lot of people don't really understand this because they look at, you know, they're like, oh man, your dad was this and that and the other, and he did this and he should. I'm like, look, man, when you come from that, you're so busy trying to prove to everybody that you're not a product of that, right?
Absolutely.
I'm not here because of my dad.
You're trying to justify you trying to prove yourself.
I want you to know, like, I'm here because Gerald Antonio Riggs II is that dude, not because dad was that dude. I'm here because I was that dude, and I did everything that I was supposed to do. So, you know, when you have that kind of sitting in the back of your mind, you're always trying to prove yourself. You know, you don't. Sometimes you just don't take advice like that because you're like, yeah, all right, I got you, I hear you, okay, thanks, go on about your business. So, you know, for me, like when I look back on the mistakes that I made, you know, at crucial times, like, I pour that into my kids because I'm like, hey, man, especially the ones that I know that I like identify, and I'm like, hey, bro, like, you got it. Like, all you got to do is just keep working. You got it. You'll be there. You're going to get it done. And my thing is, I just want them to understand, like, look, this is how you do it. You know what I mean? Like, and there's so much that goes around. You know, you guys know, like I do, like, there's so much pulling at you in so many different directions. And you got, you know, all of these things that creep through your head because at the end of the day, we're human. And we're like, I don't, you know, you may have confidence in yourself, but at the same time, you know, we decided to choose a dirty game. You know what I mean? We chose a dirty game. You know what I mean? And people like that ain't on the inside, like, they don't understand. I mean by, like, it's a dirty game. Like, it's the dirty game all the way around.
To make it through it, and
just like people say, hey man, well, you didn't get to play that long in the NFL and you didn't do this. I said, yeah, man, but you know what? I got there.
You got
after everything that I went through, I was still there. Now, how it went when I got there, man, who knows? But I was there, which a lot of people cannot say. There's a lot of people out here that were like, hey, man, you know, and that not necessarily be because of them. They might, you know, sometimes I was talking about this with my former agent actually this afternoon because we were talking a little bit and we were like, you know, sometimes, man, the game gives up on you. You know what I mean? Like, you don't give up on the game gives up on you. And, you know, I'm not a type of person that ever gives up. You know what I mean? Like, I'm never going to give up. So it was hard for me, like, learning how to deal with that was a very tough time. And now, so when I'm doing what I do with Beach University, it's about making you bigger, stronger, faster, all of that, making you prepared. But it's really about making you prepared for life, man. Like
what's happening after that.
Everything, not just what you're going to go through in that space, but what you do when it's over and how you conduct your life so that when that time does come, you're able to make a smooth transition. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you know, given the advice that I give and trying to share the wisdom that I do, like a lot of times, and you, like I said, you know me, so, you know, a lot of people don't receive it that well because it comes with so much energy sometimes because of just what I went through. Like, the emotional trauma sometimes. It's like PTSD, right? Like
so let me tell you something. So I picked up on that a long time ago, even before me and you started talking. I'm like, that was one of the things I like. It's something because I tell you, a lot of people are misunderstood. Like genius are misunderstood. People that's really passionate about what they do are misunderstood by people who aren't as passionate because they don't understand why you can say the things that you say or do the things that you do about something because they don't relate to that. They don't. They think you're crazy. They think you're unstable or whatever. But no, it's just that you're passionate about it, or these people are so far ahead of what everybody else is thinking. And I you just confirmed a lot of what I thought. I figured that about. I didn't know the particulars about it, but I knew there was something that was driving that. And that's what if you look at most great people, man, Michael Jordan is still talking about getting cut in the 10th grade. He brought to his Hall of Fame induction, he brought the dude that made the team, the coach, and other people. He will not let that go.
And the thing about it is, though, like, it's crazy that you even mentioned that because, and I hate bringing this up sometimes because people are like, oh, man, whatever, whatever. My mom and my dad, because of the circles they ran in when they were playing, like my mom and dad were very close to Jordan. You know what I mean? Like they were cool. Like when the Bulls would come into town and play neat, you know what I mean? And the Hawks, after the game was over, my mom and dad, they'd all go to Mick's or Houston's or somewhere and eat with MJ before they got out of town and Scotty and those guys. And so, like, other than my father, MJ was my dude. You know what I mean? Like MJ was the guy that I looked at. I said, hey, man, that is who I want to be like. That is the type of athlete I want to be. Like, I don't care if people like me. I don't care what they think about me. What you will know is this dude shows up and is ready to play every single time out. And he don't care about your feelings. He is going to destroy you every chance he gets. And I always had that kind of like Jordan, like, you don't understand, like, Jordan, like I've always had that kind of petty competitiveness, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'll find anything about my opponent and be pissed, like, and they'll be like, bro, like, it ain't even that serious. I'm like, oh, yes, it is. Right. It is. I don't like that dude. They be like, he didn't do nothing to you. I'll be like, yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. You know what I mean? Right. I've always been that type of guy. So it was, like when you bring up Jordan, like that kind of always, like it's fun, it's crazy because when we were watching The Last Dance, when that all came on during, big time, when they were doing the big time quarantine, everything like that, like I don't have no problem fronting about it. Like I was watching it and like it took me back to all of those years because I was at some of those games and I went to the finals in '96 and did all of that stuff. And it was like, it just took me to a place where I remember what started the motivation for me. And it was almost emotional, like unbearable emotion. Like I did cry like a couple times watching the whole thing, not because of, that. It was just because it took me emotionally back to everything that like drove me to even get to a place like Tennessee. You know what I'm saying? So that was, that was one of those, I've just always been that passionate. And I try to give that to my athletes and I try to, give that to my community, man, because, I'm one of those people that like looks at where I'm at and I say, man, there's so many people that have potential. And I'm like, and to go back a little bit again on my story, like I moved from Atlanta, I came to Chattanooga, kicking and screaming, didn't really want to be in Chattanooga, but I was like, all right, man, we're gonna make the best of this. And I struck a chord with the guys that I was playing with and the guys in my school and, but we weren't thinking about it in that way, but all we wanted to do was just work and be the best that we could be. And a little old school, the smallest 5A school in the state of Tennessee at the time, we went from
Red Bank. Say the name, Red Bank.
Oh yeah, Red Bank.
That's it. Say Red
Bank, of course. You know what I'm saying? Red Bank Lions all day long. But the thing about it was, Red Bank was always a good program and always had, good players, good teams, were tough. They had a lot of respect throughout the state, but they had never reached the pinnacle. And I was like, okay, well, how is this going to go? I don't know. To the point to where by my junior year, we were a top 5 team in the country.
So 2000, y'all went 15-0. Y'all won the state championship 2000, right?
Yeah, we won in 2000. And like, when I tell you that season, like It was crazy, bro, because like there wasn't a single game that was close. Like there was only one game that was close. And the reason that game was close was because Oakland from Nashville, who won the state championship this year for the second year in a row. They're just a powerhouse because they live in Nashville. They got the kids. They're able to get pulled from that pool that they got. But they were the number one team in the state to start that year. They lost 4 of their best players to injury in the first 2 weeks, so they went 6-4 and barely got in the playoffs. They got all of their guys back with like 3 weeks left, won the last 3 games, which got them into the playoffs. So now you had the number one preseason team versus the number one team at the time.
Yeah.
And they were at full strength. We were at full strength, and we got up on them like 21-0, and then they came back. On the very last play of the game, they threw a Hail Mary, which the dude actually caught. Like it was in his hand. And our defensive back like knocked it out at the last second. So we ended up winning that game, and then we just ran roughshod over everyone else. And I'm thinking like, and so when I'm doing what I do, like I'm bring all that to what my point is. When I do what I do, especially here in a place like Chattanooga, where there's been so much negativity and there's so much things that have happened to our community over the years that, you know, they don't have that, hey man, like by any means necessary mentality. You know what I mean? They're kind of like, well, hey, if it's meant to be, it'll be, or, you know, this is God's plan, it'll work for me. You know, like, bro, cut that mess out. You know what I mean? Like, ain't nobody going for that. You know what I mean? Like, aside what you believe spiritually, like you got to work. You know what I mean? Like you got to work. And there is no excuse why a guy, like, I don't care what I came from. I don't care that I was Gerald Riggs' senior's kid and, you know, all of that, because that didn't mean a thing once I got to high school. Like, it didn't mean nothing. It didn't mean anything to no college recruiter. It didn't mean anything to my head coach at all.
It doesn't mean once you get on the field, that can't help you on the field.
Yeah,
so
they can't.
Right.
That does nothing for you once the light, you know what I mean? Right. Once that ball get kicked off, that means nothing for you.
Yeah.
And for me to be able to, you know, one of the few times I will pat myself on the back, for me to help that team go undefeated and win 20 straight at one point in time, and we were a top 5 team in the country, and then I elevated myself to being one of the top 2 or 3 players in the country, depending on who you were talking to. And I did that from little old Chattanooga.
Right. Like
little old Chattanooga, bro. Like, so if I can do that from little old Chattanooga, you got no excuse.
So let's talk about that. So now this is where we're gonna bring this. You brought it to a head again. We're gonna bring this really to a head. Like, this is shameless plug time. So with Beast University, because I know with you're training, you're doing physical, you're helping them with, you know, to have the right mentality. Let's talk about some of what you're doing with your program and where you're trying to take that. Like, I mean, just literally where you are right now, and just talk about the plan for the next couple months going into 2021. What are you doing?
So right now, you know, because of COVID, you know, everything's been kind of crazy. So we're at right now just trying to keep everybody in the groove right now, and keeping everybody's mind focused on what they need to do, because it's very easy right now, given everything that's going on, to get out of focus and to forget what the end goal is, right? And, you know, there have been a lot of different changes. You know, let's just talk about football wise. There have been a lot of different changes in the landscape of college football, right? Like there's the transfer portal. So I get calls every week from colleges being like, hey man, which one of your players is out of school that's in the portal? You know what I mean? Or that's potentially in the portal. And I'm like, okay, I got a couple, but what about my high schoolers? They're like, I ain't worried about that. I need guys that are seasoned and ready to go. Yeah. Right? That have some experience. So my thing right now, with that being said, is trying to focus on making sure everybody understands where they need to be mentally and what they need to be doing to make sure that they're ready, because these colleges are not, you know, they're not waiting on you to be ready no more. Like, they're firing people after 2 and 3 years. You know what I mean? Like you got to produce now. So, you know, one of the things that I pride myself on with my athletes is making sure that, hey, if you're a guy that's going to go to that next level, when you leave me and you go to that strength program, when you get to school, they're going to look at you like, oh, you already know what the time it is. Like, you already know what the business is. Like, okay, man, all we got to do is just let you go and let you do what you do because you already understand, right? And so that's where we are right now doing those things. But, you know, in the future, my goal is I want to be that guy that's colleges consult with and to say, hey, look, whether we want you to come and work with our guys during the off season, whether, you know, it's hey, we want to help, you know, we want you to be our guy that kind of like our eyes out there in the field, scouting and understanding that, you know, what we need and identifying what it is that, you know, guys that can help us based on what we need. You know, that's the goal of what Beast University is about now. You know what I mean? We want to take the next step and be, because at the end of the day, the idea is to help our kids get free college, right? Like, I don't care whether, like, I tell my kids all the time, I don't care if you play when you get there, to be honest with you. I really don't.
It's already paid for.
It's already done. You know what I mean? Like, just get there. You know what I mean? Get there. If you play, great. If you become a superstar, hell yeah, absolutely. But at the end of the day, college is paid for. That $250,000 that you was gonna have to go to work for or do whatever, or your parents gonna have to figure it out or whatever, that's over and done with. The goal is to make sure that as many people that come through the program have the opportunity to put themselves in a position where they have a choice, where they have options. And you don't have options unless you have put yourself in that space where, hey man, I can look at it with a wide lens, right? When you don't get to college, when you can't make those connections, where you can't see what the other side of life really is like, then you can't make the best decision on what you need to do for your life going forward. So the idea is to, hey man, learn how to commit yourself to something bigger than you early in life, so that if you do decide, well, whether you decide to go to college and play football or not, we're all men. You know what I mean? We're ladies. You know what I mean? Because I train, you know, girls basketball. I train a lot of female athletes too. So we're going to be men. We're going to be men. We're going to be ladies. We're going to be fathers. We're going to be mothers. We're going to be business owners. We're going to be all these different things at some point in time in our life. You're going to have to make tough decisions. You're going to have to learn how to navigate tough waters, man. So how can I prepare you to be that person regardless of how your sports career goes? Because even, you know, one of the best things that my dad's, you know, ton of wisdom over the years, but like one of my favorite ones he ever gave me, he was like, look, I'm gonna take this ruler, right? He took a ruler and he showed, I'll never forget this. I was like 8 years old when I decided I want to play football. He said, all right, I'm gonna give you this ruler. From 1 to 12, that's your life, okay? 1 to 3, that's your baby years. You know what I mean? You're growing up, you're doing all that. From 3 to like 6, those are the years that you probably gonna be in your prime doing stuff, playing football, you know, doing all whatever you're gonna do. Now, once you get to 6, what you got to carry you all the way through 12? What do you have? Because if you haven't established a way of doing things, and if you haven't established a discipline and a mindset that allows you to be successful, we're all going to fall on our face at some point in time. We're all going to make mistakes. But if you have not done enough to establish a mindset and a discipline that allows you to, even when you do fall, to pick yourself back up, that 6 through 12 is going to be hell on you. And that 6 through 12 is way longer than that 1 through 6. It feels longer, right? Like that 1 through 6, it goes by like think about it, man. You could probably, all of us in here can remember when we were, 12.
You know what? It's funny you said that, because there was a similar analogy that when I was leaving 6th grade, the principal that was at the school, that the high school gave us, it was like 1 through 6 is when you're kind of figuring it out and you don't know what you really are. And this 6 through 12 is really where your life is set up, where you establish yourself, and it goes by so fast.
Right.
And that's the same. When you were saying it, I'm like, damn, that's the same type thing. So there's two wise people, because that was a gentleman, that principal was somebody I really respect. And the words of, obviously, your father gave you some very, very, very wise words. And I think we don't even need to muddy it up and say anymore. That's what we need to go ahead, and that kind of puts a real bookend on what we're talking about right here. But I do want you to say one more thing. I want you to, if you were talking to, just one thing that you could say to kids that are because everybody can't be, they're not right there in chat and have the access to what you're trying to do, because other people are going to see this and other people have kids that, they're trying to know what to look for. What would you say to someone who's coming up that's going into what we're talking about and going into? What word of advice would you give them?
First thing first, man, is be grounded in yourself. Know what you're after and know who you are. You know what I mean? Take the time to get to know yourself, because when you're in these circles, everybody's pulling at you. Everybody's telling you how great you are. Then you got people telling you how much you suck. And then there's it's all this stuff going on, right? People hating on you, people doing stuff behind your back, trying to derail you. You got people that are big on your success, but they're also trying to take advantage of it. You know what I mean? So, there's a lot. I would tell them, first thing first, man, just be grounded in yourself, man. Like, know who you are, know what it is you're really after and what you're trying to accomplish, and focus on nothing but that. Don't let other people determine what your future is. Don't let other people tell you what path you should be going on. Like, nah, bro, like, I know what path I'm on. And if you're not going to help me on that path, then, hey, man, nice to meet you. You know what I mean? Nice knowing you. You know what I'm saying? Second thing is, hey, know what's going on. Be in the know, right? Like, if you want to be a college football player, basketball player, golfer, whatever, know what you got to do, right? Take the time, ask questions, reach out to people. You know what I mean? Because, there's people out there, not just myself, but a lot of people out there that if you just reach out to them, they'll say, hey, man, all right, here's what you need to do, and so be willing to listen to people, take advice. Don't have too much pride to reach out to people and ask questions. Don't feel like, oh man, I'm bothering people. Man, bother those people. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, all they can do is tell you, hey man, I ain't got time right now, or no. Right. Okay, fine, I'll go to the next person. Right? Third thing is, don't, how do I say this? Friendly.
Say it, man. Say it. You gotta, this is an open forum. You say what you want to.
Yeah, like, the third thing is, man, like, be completely locked in on the fact that, hey, man, like, at the end of the day, this is my responsibility. Whatever I'm doing, can't blame nobody else. You can't blame nothing that's happened. Like, I can sit here and say, man, this happened, that happened, this happened, that happened. But at the end of the day, you control your own situation. You're the one who controls what happens, what doesn't happen, what's good, what's not good. So don't let outside things deter you from, again, being focused on, it comes back to point number 2. Don't let other people dictate, because at the end of the day, when that stuff goes down, it's on you. It's on you. It's on you. It's not on anybody else. It is strictly on you. And then at the end of it, and then, the last point is, man, enjoy it. Like, enjoy it. Have fun with it. You know what I mean? Like, we get so caught up in, and I even have to, check myself sometimes. We get so caught up in the process of what has to happen in order for you to get there, and all the things that you need to do in order to get there. But you got to remember, like, this is a game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's a game that teaches you a lot about life. Don't get me wrong. Football is the closest, it's a microcosm of life, bro. It's the closest, in my opinion, is the closest thing that teaches you about life, because you're going to deal with people. You're going to have to deal with people you don't like.
You don't like.
You know what I mean? You're going to have to do stuff you don't like.
Answer the people you don't like. You don't want to go to practice, but you gotta go to work.
Right. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, when they be like, hey man, you got 6 a.m. workouts. You be like, oh yeah. Are you for real, bro? Like,
so
I'm trying to kick it.
It's funny you said that, because, like, when people who know me, you see the Lakers. I love Kobe, right? And one of the things he said, and it feeds into another saying, it's not about the results, it's about the work. And that's just one thing. It's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And you enjoy it along the way. And we get so caught up in where we want to get to that we don't enjoy what happens along the way and have fun and to do those other small things. And my wife thinks I'm crazy because I have my Google Home. I have an alert every day that tells me that same thing. And it's like his other court, do more. And it's like that other thing is not about the results. It's about the work.
You know what's crazy though? But you know what's crazy? And it's like, and it's that A-type personality stuff. When you are an A-type personality, it is very hard for you to relinquish control. It is very hard for you to say, hey man, like I'm going to enjoy everything that's going on because you're so fixated on the result and you're so fixated on, hey man, I'm trying to be at this. And the intensity that I gotta have, the energy and the passion that I gotta have, like there's no other way to do it. So sometimes you need that reminder. And like that was what like that's why me and my brother, you know, and people who don't know, my brother, he played football at University of Florida.
Cody.
Yeah, Cody Riggs. He played football at Florida. He went to St. Thomas Aquinas High School, you know what I mean? National championship 3 times over in high school, you know, did all of that stuff and played for the Titans, played in the NFL for 5 years, did Titans for 4, did Tampa Bay for 1. And like, he's my polar opposite. Like he's the one of us that's like, hey man, it's just gonna be man, you know what I'm saying? Like don't get me wrong, he's very A-type too, but he's A-type in a different way.
And there's different ways to get it done.
And he's so much more relaxed and so much more like, you know, all right, man, you know what I mean? So I thank God for the relationship, even when he, you know, and we're 8 years apart. So even when he was a young dog, like he helped me in so many ways because he would just be like, hey man, like it's okay. You know what I mean? Like it's okay. Like
you need somebody that says okay.
I don't think no different of you.
Yeah.
I love you. Yeah. I still am proud of you. You know what I mean? And that was one of the things that helped me, you know, progress was like, you know, for a lot of years, man, I just never heard anybody just say, you know, well, I didn't say nobody because like my parents would always say it, but
it's different. It's different.
You know what I mean? Like, you kind of expect your parents to say that. You know what I mean? You're kind of like, especially if you have parents that are involved, that, you know, have always been there for you. You're going to expect them to say it. You're like, ah, man, you're just saying that because you don't want me to be, you know, pissed off. But, you know, when you have people that tell you, hey, man, like, it's okay. I'm proud of you.
It's okay, I'm proud.
I love you.
That go a long.
That happens. You know what I mean?
That goes a long way, man. So I want to tell you, I want to first of all thank you for taking the time out to be this show. You know, like I said, we talk offline, man, and it's something that like I appreciate just getting to know you. It's the type of person you are, and just like what I've seen your growth and what you're trying to do, and like I said, I just appreciate who you are, the type of person you are, man, and what you know. Just you, period. So
appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Thank you for coming.
Y'all older guys, man. Y'all always, you know, like it's crazy. Like you, a lot of guys, you, Al, Leonard, a lot of guys, man. Like I've always just, you know, always shown me love, bro. Like and always, you know what I'm saying, been that kind of.
There's a thread. There's a thread there, and we all talk because like that. Even though you're generations apart, you understand it was like there's a connection there with people, and it's like. I talked to Catfish and Worm. I could have been induced Fred earlier today. I could have been lazy with my first show and talked to any of those guys, but like, and I told him I wanted to talk to you for a specific reason, and I told you that I wanted to talk to you for a specific reason because
he did say that.
Not because we played together. It's just like they're like family. That's like we grew up.
Yeah. That's like you said. That's easy to do. You know what I mean?
Choose like it came about a different way, and it was just like, man, I just appreciate it. I couldn't think of a better way to kick it off. Like I'm gonna talk to those knuckleheads too. We're gonna get on here. We got a lot of stories to tell. They got a lot of great stuff that they're talking about doing. We're gonna get to it. But I think like Volunteer Nation, our family, all the VFL, they needed to hear from you first. They needed to hear this conversation first. And I'm glad we did it. And it was more than what I expected. So again, man, I just appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, I appreciate you reaching out to me, bro. Because like I said, I've always wanted to, I've never really, I talk, you know me, bro. Like I talk a lot on social media. You know what I mean? But
it's different here though. Yeah,
it's different. But honestly, like I've never told my story like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Publicly. Like people don't really understand. They don't understand the motivation and the drive behind the things that I do. So, you know, to have a platform to do that, man, I'm in debt to you, bro. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, man. You know how that is, man. You know, and I like for me, I want to thank. He had to drop off, but I want to thank Billy. Also, you just heard from him a little bit. I want to thank Catfish just for giving me the platform.
This was lit, man.
To be able to have these conversations, man. And you know, this is a family affair, man. I trust them. We trust each other. I treat like I talked to you last night, man. I asked you, I was like, just whatever you tell me what you don't want to talk about, because that trust, I don't want to put you in that spot to ever
like
ask you.
I told you, man, I'm open, dog. Like I'm open book always, man. Like you know, the more I think today, you know, in today's time, you know what I mean, with all the stuff that goes on, you know what I mean, the misinformation and you know, the people just take something and run with it.
And that's what I told you. People can take your post the wrong way, and that's why I want you to talk. They can't miss it. Like they hear your passion, they hear what you mean, they hear exactly what you're talking about. So nobody can now when they see you when you post certain things, they know exactly what you mean.
Right.
Or they get a better understanding of what you mean. That's what the intent of something.
Yeah, I'm not just some crazy like former player that don't went cuckoo on Facebook. Like
that's right. That's right. So with that, man, I think we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna sign off. And like I said, I appreciate everybody for checking in. People who watching it live, people who are gonna watch it later, checking into the very first Cold World podcast. So there's gonna be more to come. But you can't top the first. My brother Riggs, man.
And I got to say something before you sign off. Okay. Gerald's been on the show a couple times. Yeah. And he's probably the second most quoted guest we've had.
Yeah.
Deuce is number one.
I can see why.
Deuce is number one. Yeah. Deuce is number one because he's been on so many times. But one of the biggest things about Gerald is Billy and I've quoted him saying, the offensive line will get you your first 4 yards. It's up to you to get the next 4.
Oh yeah,
that's what you said last year. Remember that?
That was the deal. Like there was a couple things that I wasn't a big rah guy. You know what I mean? Like I didn't really need extra motivation to go out and play. But one of the sayings that Coach Fulmer said during practice one time that like for whatever reason it stuck with me and it just motivated me even on Saturdays is like, hey man, they get the first 4, you get the next 4. Right. And it was almost like a toughness, motto. You know what I mean? Like, because, playing in that league, man, like you learn how to be a man real quick. You know what I mean? Like, you ain't no,
you can't come off the porch. It's like you learn how it was in there. You got to be able to come off the porch.
Yeah. Like you ain't no hiding once you get in that SEC, bro. Like, especially if you come in there with any kind of fanfare, any kind of notoriety, any kind of hype behind you. They like, hey man, like we need to see it. You know what I'm saying?
And people trying to earn stripes off you.
Yeah, like exactly. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like dudes can't wait to take that shot at you. You know what I'm saying? Be like, yeah, I got him. So that saying alone, man, was it was kind of a toughness motto for me, man. And I even used that with my high school kids that I trained. And I coached at a couple schools over the years since I've been out of football. And when I'm coaching running backs, I tell them the same thing. I was like, the offensive line, their job is to get 4. Your job is to get the next 4. And if you don't get the next 4, I'm going to find somebody else that will. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you look like. I don't care where you're from, none of that. If you can't get me the next 4, I got to find somebody else.
Anyway, so it's great. So I just talked about, you talked about Coach Foreman told you that how long ago. I hear Coach Brad. I told him this years ago. I was like, when you were saying it, I heard it, but it didn't register. As talk. Right. The stuff he used to tell me is like it's a great day to get better. It's like the thing about it's a great. It's like the thing about you don't want to go to practice, but you got to do it. And going to work. It's like I have that. I keep hearing all that stuff he said to me about my life.
You know what's crazy is Coach Brooks is another. And,
love that man. Love
Coach Brooks was another one that resonated with me. And I remember one year I was coaching at the private school that I was working with, and it was one of those years like we were playing well, but it was kind of hard to come to practice. There was a lot going on. We were asking a lot of them, and guys were just kind of beat up mentally. And I pulled out an old Coach Brooks one. I was like, hey, so for like the next 3 weeks, I was like, it's Monday, best day of the week. You know what I mean? It's Tuesday, best day of the week. It's Wednesday, Best day of the week. You know what I mean?
So,
like
in the middle of, how it is in the middle of the season. You sitting there right before their horn blow, like, man, I don't feel like doing this. And he come running past you, hit you. Great day to get better. Like, let's go, man.
Yeah, let's go, man. Let's get it cranked up, man. You know what I mean? Whatever it takes.
What's that one that Billy says? He said that Coach Brooks would say, "Hey, if you can fly with the Owls at night,
you can soar with the Eagles in the morning."
Yeah,
that's like it is. If you can fly with the Owls at night, you can soar with the Eagles in the morning. Get up, get it done. If you're gonna do one, do the other. It's like that. Yeah.
Hey, that's funny though, because you remember like one quick story before we go. Y'all, of course, Coach Brooks was like, "Hey, man, we don't cuss, we don't do none of that. You know what I mean? You ain't got to do all of that. You know what I mean?
Right,
There's no need for any of that."
He didn't really yell. He didn't do all that.
No, he didn't yell. He didn't do nothing. So I remember one day, the running back room was right down next to the D line room. It was like 2 doors down.
Yeah.
So I remember one day, like, our meetings were kind of slow. So I was like, all right, man, I'm going to go use the bathroom, go and mess with somebody else in their meetings, whatever. So I remember one day they sitting there and Coach Brooks is at the table, at his desk, and he got the computer right here and everything, so he can run the film, and he's sitting right here, and then there's guys in front of him.
Yep, that's it.
And LaRon Harris is sitting in front of him. Deacon, Greg Jones was like in front of him, and you had Fabulous, Brian Franklin, then you had all those guys in there. There was a nice little group of guys in there.
Right? You just named off some studs right there.
Right. So I'll never forget, you know how the deal was in everybody meeting room. If you catch some Z's, they're gonna throw that water on you.
Yeah.
If they catch you catching Z's, they're gonna throw that water on you. So LaRon sitting there asleep. Greg gets the water and tries to throw it over his shoulder to get LaRon. Well, LaRon wakes up at the last second and moves.
And he hit Brooks. Oh, he hit there.
Brooks. Brooks got the TV, got the computer wet, got everything, right? All of a sudden, now remember, we just said Coach Brooks don't cuss.
Every now and then, it depends. Dang.
No, it wasn't even god dang. It was
he dropped the F. He dropped the F.
He said he was like, and we don't hear on our own platform, so I can say it. Coach Brooks goes, "God damn it, LaRon, Greg, wake your ass up. Fabulous, where's your progress report?" He just started going off on everything, bro. And like he went around the whole room, and then he came back to Greg again. "God damn it, Greg, wake your ass up." And I never laughed so hard in my life, bro, because it was like, Coach Brooks don't never do that. And he went off. And then we got to practice, and I was like, "Coach Brooks, you straight?" He was like, "Yeah, man." I just got lost.
That's my dude. Man,
I was like, you had a little PTSD, you had a little flashback, didn't you? He was like, "Yeah, I don't know what happened."
I'm gonna try to get Coach on him, man. I know he'll.
Hey, I love that man, dude. Like
I love him. I say it unabashedly. I love him. Because he took me in when I was playing defensive end. I like for years. When he didn't think I was getting enough reps at end, he would put me in. He would look at, and during the game, he's like, the plays, put me in at D tackle before I moved over permanently.
Right.
My senior year, he would play me at D tackle when he didn't think I was playing enough at the end. And it's just like, it was more to it than that. He just, the way he would come and talk to me, and because we come from, he's from Kings Mountain, North Carolina, I'm from Gavin, like we're from 20 minutes apart. And we just had that connection. And people talk about, their coaches who try to they try to talk like you, to do whatever, to try to connect with you.
Yeah, they put on that front, bro.
He was from the time I met him to right now to whenever, he would never change, but he had that connection with black, white, who it didn't matter.
The reason why
he was authentic.
And other coaches like him was because, the type of guys that we were, and I came to, and I'll be honest, like I'll go back, to the reason why I ended up going to Tennessee was because of guys like yourself and the ways that y'all established the culture. You know what I mean? Like I was like, I want to go and play for that. Like you got to be real to go there and play. Like You got to be a dog. You got to be real. You got to be a man. You got to be a guy that can, that can take it. You know what I mean? To actually go to Tennessee and be successful. So, just being able, just like that whole way of doing things, man. Like it just, it resonates with you because in this business, there's so much fake nonsense that goes
It
on.
is. And we've seen it. You saw it with the
fake
coaches and
toughness
fake
and-
coaches and fake talk where they talk. He
Yeah,
was
like-
always authentic himself, consistent.
right. You know
Like,
what I mean?
and
When
you can
get somebody
appreciate
knows
that.
real,
Yeah.
you be like, all
right.
even if I don't like everything you guys say, bro, like I can rock with you because I know you're always going to be 100 about everything that's going on. And that was Coach Brooks. I don't know how you felt about Chief, but
see, Chief's the reason why I came there. That's
the same way.
We're from South Carolina. Yeah, he recruited me.
It was crazy because I remember after my sophomore year when I was thinking about transfer, Chief and Coach Brooks pulled me in the office and was like, "Do you want to come over to defense?" And I was like, because I was an All-American linebacker too in high school, so they were like, I mean,
we got a spot for you over here.
It's like, I was like, Emo, you could be a lot like Emo was and come over to defense. And I was like, man.
Dominique was a running back.
I was like, man, I just had the running back bug, bro. But if I could look back on it, I was like, man, I probably would have took him up on the offer, bro.
Seems like I'll make you a first rounder.
Right. That's exactly what he said. He was like, you'll get paid if you come over here. And I'm like, I'm gonna get paid playing running back too. And they were like, okay, well, if that's what you believe. Okay. And we're not gonna deter you from that. We believe in you. We just, we know you've had some struggles over there on that side of the ball, and you know what I mean? Not
it's less pounding. No, I know the sale. It's less pounding. You don't have to get hit. It's just like, I know what he told you. Yeah. I know exactly what he told you.
Exactly. So I was like, I'll never forget that. I was like, oh man.
Chief called me about. It's crazy. I talked to him like 2 months ago. He called me and we talked. Man, it was one of those things, man. It was like just having that connection with those folks after all these years, and we went through some stuff, but we reconnected and we're good.
That's like me and Randy, bro. Like that's like me and Randy Sanders. Like I swore Randy hated me when I was in school. I swore he hated me.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, Chief didn't talk. We didn't. I started defensive tackle that '98 season. He barely talked to me. He would come to the huddle. If he wanted to tell me something, he would tell Coach Brooks. He's standing right in front of me, and he would say something to Coach Brooks to tell me. He's standing 2 feet away from me. Now, it was something that happened before that we kind of had some words and, right. But he would literally tell Coach Brooks to tell me something while I can hear you talking.
Like, I can hear you, bro. Like,
I can hear you.
I can hear you,
man. And it wasn't until 2007 when they were playing in the SEC championship game and we went down there. And I was like, because we had a suite up there. It was a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, I remember all that.
We went to the locker room. I was like, yeah, I'm good. They was like, nah, he said, Coach Chavis wants you to come in here. I'm like, they about to play. He don't like it. They're like, nah, he wants you to come in here. So we went back there. I went to the back there at the wall. He was standing at the front, and it was just like I looked, and we kind of he looked at me, and he was like, "Come in." It's like, you know how dudes are. We have issues. We ain't gonna talk about nothing. It's just like he came up, he was watery eyed, he hugged me. It was just like said, "I love you too." It was just like that's it. And it was.
And if you know Chief, and anybody who knows Chief, like that's all he needed to say.
That's all. I didn't need. I didn't
wasn't a man of many words, so it was like, okay, if he says that, it's great.
Yeah, he was. I knew something was up when he was like, "Yeah, you need to come in here." So I was good. So yeah, look, that's the reason why I was. That's the big reason why I was there was Chief. He's from South Carolina too. We had that connection. Right. So he's from Dillon. So yeah.
Like that was crazy because the reason why I came was Woody.
Woody.
And when Woody left to go to Mississippi State to take the OC job, under Sylvester Croom, that was what kind of that was another thing that screwed me up too, because I was like, the one person I felt like was my ally here, is gone.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I don't know. And then Trooper came in, and then Trooper was like, okay. It was funny because we were at bowl practice, getting ready to play in the Peach Bowl, and I'll never forget this story. We had a scrimmage in practice. And, it was ones versus ones, but I think Seb was nicked up, Jabari was nicked up, so they didn't want to waste them for the game, so they put me in. And I had 200 or something against the first team defense, just killed them. And they were like, and Troop comes over, he was like, so what's up, man? What's the name, blah, blah. He's like, you going to have a big week this week. And I literally laughed in his face. I was like, what the hell you talking about? And he was like, what you mean? What you laughing about? I was like, fool, I don't play. And he was like, what you mean you don't play? Why? You dog, I just saw what you just did. You don't play? I said, no, I don't play. And Coach Foreman was standing right next to me, right here like this. And he goes, "Why don't you play?" And I said, "Ask that dude right there." So, ask that. And after that, Troop was like, "Hey man, I rock with you, dog. So we gonna get you on the field the next year." And then of course, everything happened, blah blah.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna tell you,
crazy stuff, man.
My wife just texted me, said it's gonna be a cold world in my house if I don't.
If you don't get your butt off this computer.
So
I see y'all, man.
All right, fellas. Appreciate you. All right.